choosing your first Hasselblad lens can feel overwhelming. It's tempting to buy 2 or 3 lenses right away just to feel covered for every situation. But here's the trap. With a system this expensive and specialized, it's surprisingly easy to end up with a setup that looks perfect on paper, but doesn't fit the way you actually shoot. When I moved to Hasselblad, I made a choice that felt completely counterintuitive. I started with just one lens, the XED-90V. No backup focal length, no safety net. And looking back, that decision had a profound impact on my work. This lens reshaped my style, taught me some valuable lessons, and helped me create several award-winning photo series that define my photography today. In this video, I'll show you why the XED-90V might become one of the most important lenses in your Hasselblad kit as well. If you're new here, my name is Albrecht Voss. I'm an architectural photographer and my work has been recognized in some of the biggest photography competitions in the world, including the Hasselblad Masters and Sony World Photography Awards. So, let's get right into it. This video is kindly supported by Hasselblad. Wait, no. This one isn't. Alright then, let's see how this goes. You might wonder why we're even talking about a 90mm lens. Maybe you've already seen my review of the XED-38V, my absolute favorite lens, an all-rounder for portraits, street, architecture and landscapes. But here's the thing, that was actually my second lens I got. During my entire first year with the Hasselblad X2D, I shot only with the 90V. And it was incredible. Converted to full frame, this lens sits right in the middle of the classic holy trinity of focal lengths. At a 70mm equivalent and an f2 aperture, it mirrors the end of a 24-70 and the starting point of a 70-200 lens. So, even though Canon, Sony or Nikon don't really have a 70mm prime, this focal length isn't unusual at all. And it fills a perfect gap between 50mm, which often feels too wide for portraits, and 100mm, which sometimes feels too compressed. With the 90V, everyday moments turn into art pieces. The focal length cuts out all the visual distractions that constantly clutter our surroundings. What's left are small details, the essence of a place or a moment. A tighter frame that blends your subject with its immediate background, rendered in 100 million razor-sharp pixels. This lens sends my eye searching with laser focus. In the Alps, the 90V compresses the distance between modern architecture and the next mountain ridge on the opposite side of the valley. It pushes your attention toward a pool of light between the peaks, a reflection of sunrise on a facade, or the lava-like texture of a rock face. With this lens, there's never any doubt about where the main subject of your image is. Even though I sometimes wish it focused closer, many of these strengths translate beautifully to product photography too. Clean focus, clear separation, and reduced visual noise. In 2023, I used the 90V to create my portrait series Faces of Hospitality, a collection of influential personalities in the hotel industry, shot at various conferences. With a tight frame, finding a neutral background becomes effortless, even at a trade show. And setting up an octabox for concentrated light takes seconds. The level of detail in those portraits is just stunning. And more than once, the Hasselblad itself became a conversation starter and a door opener. The XED-90V is what I call my serious lens. Whether it's old wooden huts in the mountains, merging into one coherent visual language, or an experimental black and white study where the beauty lies in reducing everything to pure monochrome white lines on a black backdrop. The 90V simply delivers. Before we get into the Fineart series that won multiple international awards, let's talk about a few technical details. If you're enjoying this video so far, please consider hitting subscribe and giving this video a like. A small gesture for you, but a huge help for the channel. The XCD90V is in many ways the most refined expression of what Hasselblad's modern V-series prime lenses are all about. At just 9 cm or 2.75 inches in length and weighing only 550 grams or 1.2 pounds, it's amazingly portable for a medium format telephoto lens that resolves well over 100 megapixel. Mounted on the X2D or the 907X, the 90V feels great in the hand. Well balanced, compact and reassuringly solid. It's the second largest V-series lens, just slightly shorter than the XCD25V. But it feels just as travel friendly as its smaller siblings. Like all lenses in the lineup, the 90V features Hasselblad's latest leaf shutter. It's capable of shutter speeds up to 1/4000th of a second with full flash sync at every speed, making it a stop faster than the XCD38V and 55V. It also has the most substantial shutter sound in the series. A very satisfying clonk every time you press the shutter. For portrait and commercial photographers working with controlled lighting on location, this already makes the 90V a powerful tool. The redesigned autofocus system is noticeably quicker and more precise than on older XCD lenses, and switching to manual focus is effortless thanks to the push-pull clutch. This tactile experience is one of the reasons I love the V series so much. The moment you grab the 90V, you feel the same visual language shared across all 4 lenses in the lineup. The identical 72mm filter thread, the consistent focus and custom ring design, and the premium metal construction make the series of lenses a perfectly coherent set of professional tools. If you've invested in high quality filters, you can use them across the entire V series. A huge advantage when switching focal lengths during a shoot. Even the lens caps are interchangeable, which is one of those small but genuinely practical details that matter more than you'd think when shooting in fast-paced environments. This lens has survived snowstorms, industrial sites and night sessions in the Alps without picking up a single scratch. It's built like a tank, yet it carries the aesthetic and character of an object designed for photographers who appreciate the craft behind their equipment. The customizable control ring is a convenient addition to the V series, allowing you to assign aperture, ISO, exposure compensation or shutter speed. But to be honest, I don't use it much, simply because it turns a little too easily for my taste and I fear that my settings get changed accidentally. But the option is there and many photographers love it. You can even declick the ring with a small switch if you prefer a smoother, stepless rotation. With a minimum focusing distance of 0.6 meters and a maximum magnification of 1.58, it's not really a macro lens. And sometimes, especially for product photography, I'd love to get even closer. The bright f2.5 aperture makes this lens surprisingly versatile. You get a great image preview in your EVF even at night, and you can isolate people easily from the background. Although for close-up portraits I usually stop down to f4 to get enough depth of field. Stopping down also eliminates the vignette, which is quite noticeable wide open, an effect that I personally enjoy and often embrace in post-production. The best example of how I use this lens is my series Eternal Echoes, where I photographed wind turbines in foggy winter conditions, stripping away every bit of environmental context. What remained was pure abstraction. The series evolved over several years as I kept photographing wind turbines near my hometown. I shot them with focal lengths from 15mm all the way up to 100mm, across all seasons and locations. But at some point I realized this body of work wasn't about wide, expansive landscapes or dramatic, distorted rotor blades. The beauty was in the simplicity. Clean, white towers, reaching hundreds of meters into the pale sky. Rotor plates with diameters of up to 150 meters or about 450 feet, slicing through the air with a soft hum. These structures transform our landscape everywhere, suggesting a brighter, cleaner future based on endless energy. That purity was exactly what I wanted to capture. These images were only possible because of the limited field of view of the XCD90V and the very deliberate choice of where I positioned myself in relation to each turbine. That way I could exclude other turbines, power stations or background trees and keep everything focused on a single isolated subject. Of course, that kind of intentional framing matters with any focal length. But with a short telephoto like the 90V, the compression makes foreground and background relationships much more obvious. A few steps left or right can completely change the geometry of your image. While reviewing the shots in the field, I also realized that I preferred the vertical orientation over the horizontal ones. Shooting vertically helped me remove even more context and focus everything on the rising form of the turbine. That's not to say I was able to resist a few beautiful X-Pen style images with the XCD20-35E. Some scenes just demand that. A few weeks after creating the daytime series, another idea came to mind. What if I contrasted those bright, minimal images with their opposite? Photographing the wind turbines at night, wrapped in deep black. To give the structure some dimension, I needed a natural light source. So I waited for the next full moon. Unfortunately, on a freezing cold February night. But the moon acted like a giant softbox, casting an otherworldly glow across the turbines. I walked around the massive steel structures, watching how the light shifted across them, sometimes rendering them as dark silhouettes, other times creating a delicate sidelight that gave them depth. Photographing the turbines at night was far more difficult than during day. Although with the 90V's wide aperture, I could clearly see the scene through my viewfinder. I set the lens to f4 for more depth of field and less vignette, and ISO 200 for maximum image quality. But at night, I couldn't freeze the motion of the spinning blades. In my 8-second exposures, the rotors disappeared completely, making the turbines look like slender mushrooms. I could fix this only by finding turbines that were disengaged or barely moving, or by focusing on the lower structure instead of the rotors. Depth of field was another challenge, especially when using fences or industrial machinery in the foreground. With the 90V, I had to stop down to around f11 just to keep everything sharp, which pushed the exposures well beyond 100 seconds. Standing in an open field, feeling the freezing air hit my face while waiting for the shutter to close, trying to shield the tripod from gusts, it felt like forever. But it was absolutely worth it. In the end, the series won 5 international awards, was published in magazines and made its way into exhibitions as far as China. One vision, one subject, one lens. If you want to learn more about how to create a Fineart photo series right outside your front door, check out the dedicated video I made about this project. And if you have individual questions, you can always reach out for my one-to-one online tutorings, or join the waitlist for my workshops to meet me and other Hasselblad photographers. Or just sign up for my newsletter to get a monthly creative nudge. All links in the description below. So, what's my verdict on the Hasselblad XCD90V? I know, ever since the release of the 35-100E, the decision has become a lot harder. That zoom really does everything, with image quality that doesn't fall behind at all. But after half a year with the 35-100E, I eventually went back to my 38V and 90V. And I'm using them just as much as ever. Stay tuned for a dedicated video where I compare Hasselblad's zoom and prime lenses. If you have any questions about Hasselblad's products, whether it's the 907X, the X2D series, lenses, accessories, or even shooting techniques. Drop them down in the comments below this video. I'm currently collecting your questions for an upcoming Q&A episode, where I go through them in detail and share my honest experience. So if there's anything you've ever wondering about, now is the perfect time to ask. My approach to shooting with a Hasselblad isn't spray and pray. It's intentional. Every 200 megabyte file matters, and every shot should have the potential to become a piece of art. And that's exactly what the 90V enables. It forces you to simplify your compositions, it gives your images intention and purpose. And honestly, it's just fun to use. I can carry the 90V around all day without feeling weighted down. And the manual focus, man, that's one of the most beautiful moments in the whole process. You slowly turn the focus ring, the viewfinder automatically jumps to 100%, and your subject snaps into sharper and sharper and sharper detail. Whether you shoot landscapes, architecture or portraits, the XCD90V can give you truly unique images. Of course, it has to fit your style, but I hope this video showed you what's possible with this beautiful lens. And if this lens got you hooked, check out the link to the DJI stores Germany, Austria and Switzerland. There's a small discount waiting for you on all Hasselblad and DJI products. I wish you the best of luck deciding on your next lens. And until then, enjoy your time out shooting.